Okay, so that's the latest on the political front. A lot happening, and we'll definitely get to canvass that in totality. Even as we get into the thick of it, allow me to delve deeper into today's headlines. As I had hinted earlier, this is what you can expect on the front page of the Standard. Waiguru, Ngirici clash before Ruto, all to do with the battle for Kirinyaga governor's position within the UDA party, where the DP encounters deep rivalry between the two leaders interested in the Kirinyaga governorship. This has been fueled by the governor's recent warm reception to UDA, a move the woman rep now sees as betrayal and dishonesty. That's the latest on the front page of the Standard in relation to that particular story we've just seen, done by Jeff Kirui. But on the front page of the Daily Nation, this is what you can expect: Ruto's hidden hand in One Kenya Alliance chiefs fallout. And that's the big question of the day. Is ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi working with Deputy President? Even as he dismissed those claims yesterday, some of his allies alleged night meetings and secret talks to push him towards an alliance with the Deputy President. That's on the front page of the Daily Nation. The allegations that have been raised by one Mr. Savula, who's allied to the ANC party right now. Cleophas Malala also spoke about this, about people pushing Mr. Mudavadi to work with the Deputy President. That's on the front page of the dailies. Allow me to introduce my panelists, where we'll get to interrogate some of these stories and plenty more that have been covered in totality in today's papers. I'm joined in studio by Kidi Mwaga, who's a lawyer advocate. Asante sana for your time. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Jesse.
Asante. We'll get to discuss this in totality. Equally joined by Joseph Kioko, who's a political analyst, a familiar face right here in the show. Joseph Kioko, it's great to have you with us. Good morning. It's been a while.
It's been a while, Jesse. Good
Welcome
morning.
back. Welcome back.
Thanks, man.
Professor Mohamed Elmi equally joins us, who's a governance expert. Prof, asante sana for your time. Karibu and good morning.
Thank you, Rogers.
Asante. Let's start with a big story on the front page of the Daily Nation. It's all to do with Ruto's hidden hand, allegedly, in One Kenya Alliance chiefs fallout. And perhaps let me start with you, Kidi. A lot has been said about One Kenya Alliance unity, whether the center will hold. But according to Wiper's NDC just last week, it seems all signs were green. It was all systems go. But one big question was the presence of Raila Odinga. And some members of parliament allied to One Kenya Alliance took an issue with his invite, with Kalonzo Musyoka's invite or extension of the invite to ODM leader Raila Odinga. Perhaps as we rebound on the front page of the dailies, well, what's your take on One Kenya Alliance? Will it make it till 8th August 2022?
Yes, thank you for the honor of inviting me to the show. Diving right into the heart of your question, let me say that, let me build the background of One Kenya Alliance. That there was the team that was supporting Handshake from 2018, the team that felt that it was proper for the President and the Prime Minister to work together in the interest of the country. And one of the people who believed in this was Gideon Moi, was Kalonzo Musyoka. Mudavadi at the beginning was a bit a bit non-committal, but eventually he threw his weight both behind Handshake and behind the BBI process. Because the President and the Prime Minister were engaging directly, the other leaders within the Handshake team felt that it was prudent for them to come together to be able to consolidate support across the country, so that as we head into the next general elections, that therefore they would then be able to give a proper direction on how this country, progresses post-President Kenyatta. So when One Kenya Alliance was formed, largely it has been a coalition of the willing. And you remember that to this extent they've been able to sign legal instruments that then formalizes them. But then to this extent, I do not think that there is any cause of alarm within One Kenya Alliance, except that change of mind is welcome and permissible. So that if and when any member within the alliance may change his mind, then that change of mind will be accepted, and the team that will remain, I am certain that will forge ahead. The question is, those people who want to possibly bolt out, what do they bring to the table in terms of maybe numbers and in terms of capability to mobilize? So those are the questions we will ask going forward. But to this extent, I think that background was proper. Thank you.
Okay, accusations and counter-accusations, Kyoko. Will the center hold, or is the third force simply a mirage?
Thank you, Jesse, for hosting us here today to dissect these issues.
Yeah.
I think One Kenya Alliance is caught up in a time warp. They are suffering from paralysis. Yeah? They have looked at the competition, they're looking at media coverage of the events, they're looking at every conversation that is going on right now. It's about Ruto or Raila. They're trying to find space to articulate their agenda. Somehow it picks up a little bit and then it dims. And they don't know what to do. I think that is where they are caught up. That's the real challenge that there is. People can introduce factors of resources, factors of inertia, political inertia amongst themselves. People can introduce the lack of perceived lack of stronghold, that when you look at One Kenya Alliance, the only person who has a sizable voting bloc is Kalonzo Musyoka. Mudavadi's bloc is neither here nor there. Gideon bloc, we don't know whether he has a bloc or it is him as a person. Wetangula has always been a one-man affair.
Okay.
So this crisis is finally getting caught up to them, such that they are starting to eat each other. When you read the statement by Savula, who is a governor candidate of Kakamega, and Malala there, who is a very prominent vocal young man and who articulates certain issues in a radical manner, then you start asking yourself, these are internal conversations within ANC.
Yeah.
Remember, at some period ago, there was this conversation within Ford Kenya that there are people who are in Ford Kenya who are having discussion with Ruto. It was alleged that then the former senator of Kakamega, Boni Khalwale, and the party leader Ford Kenya were allied towards Ruto. As it were, Khalwale went to Ruto and this other guy remained where he is. So these allegations is when there's lack of movement, people turn to internally cannibalize on themselves because there's a place they want to go, there's a feeling they believe that should happen, but it is not happening. So that's the crisis that One Kenya Alliance is all about. Okay. You see, Kalonzo does his Wiper Delegates Conference, big momentum. Everybody's talking about it. Then the next day they go to Bungoma. After that, everybody dissipates. Kalonzo is in Lukenya, Musalia retreats to Eldoret, Gideon has gone to Marakwet Elgeyo. So everybody dissipates. Okay. The ability to continue a momentum. When you look at Baba, he came to Kasarani. All right. The next day, actually in the morning of Kasarani meeting, he was receiving a defector from Ford Kenya, deputy leader of Ford Kenya, Kituru Church MP. Yeah. He comes to Wiper, leaves, and then you see him in Nyeri doing 2 days events in Central Province. Okay. Then Sunday, Baba is in Huruma doing, so that consistency is what is lacking within One Kenya Alliance. And if it is not checked, you'll find the inter-competition within OCA might overshadow the political move going forward.
Okay, Prof. Elmi, the speculation that is out there right now is all to do with whether One Kenya Alliance will fold, whether to support Raila Odinga or Raila Odinga will join the foray. Do you think his presence during the NDC by Wiper Party is actually a telltale sign of what to expect in the future? And perhaps, Prof, as you also answered that, Mount Kenya Forum also showed interest in One Kenya Alliance. Does this strengthen the numbers or complicate the matrix in terms of landing a presidential candidate from where you sit?
Rogers, I think, thank you first for inviting me. This story has been well depicted in the cartoon of yesterday, I think, Nation, yeah, where there were 2 roads, and there were also hands. The road was leading, one was on Raila, and ultimately they were connecting somewhere. Yeah. And if you looked at that cartoon very well, you would see Gideon hanging on there was a hand from Wiper, that is Kilonzo, to Raila.
Okay.
So this tells you that ultimately, Okoa and Raila will unite. And I think that signal clearly came out when Raila was invited for the Wiper delegation. The other thing is that what the story in yesterday's paper was that there will be a big moment for Raila endorsement, I think on 10th of December. And it will be done in Kasarani. The invitees are about 60,000. And all the Okoa fellows are there. So what does that mean? What it means is that this internal competition is just for purposes of teething. The teething problem.
Stakes as well.
Yes. And I think Musalia Mudavadi can never make that kind of a mistake. He made one mistake at the beginning when he was with Raila. And he defected to the Uhuru camp on a false promises, which actually did not materialize. And he knows the consequences. One thing that is very clear is that the Okoa and Raila must unite for political survival. And I think this is something that all Okoa and the Okoa team are aware.
Okay.
Actually, it has been said that they either work together or die individually.
Unite or perish.
Unite or perish. This is the carrier call.
But Prof, let me ask you, who needs who more? Because at times we get that question. Should Raila fold his ambition come December 10th, join the One Kenya Alliance principles, or should it be the other way around? Who brings more to the table?
I think what is obvious now is that Raila is the stronger component. What is obvious? And you can see, Raila has changed his tactics from this crowd pulling rallies to meeting the critical people who really matter. And I think what we saw in Nyeri is a clear indication of whose strength and where is it. So we already know that Raila has been in this game for a very, very long time.
Okay.
And as they say, he may have, he could be having the last bullet, and this last bullet must be shot extremely carefully by a sniper. So I think the strength of Raila, and with a handshake behind it, is a critical thing for the Okoa and this team.
Okay, Kioko.
Maybe to bring in another perspective. Ideologically, Oka and Raila are one and the same thing. They have a common enemy, ideologically.
Despite the deficit of trust.
Despite the deficit of trust, it is very easy for the Wiper MPs to sit with the ODM MPs and have a good, natural conversation on where to take this country. That's ideological. But in terms of real politics, and that's where rubber hits the ground, what do we need to win? You might have good ideology, you might have good credentials, you might everything that sounds well on paper, but in reality people want the opposite. Now, real politics is now what Mudavadi is suffering from today. As it is today, he feels that the candidature of Raila has not pushed the needle forward. We are going back to what NASA was all about. That was a feeling that even Kalonzo Musyoka was expressing earlier on. Why don't we, the same team remains, but let us choose a new captain and see what the outcome will be. That feeling internally is still there. They might be bullied. You heard Musalia talk about it last week. We don't want to be bullied. We want to build consensus. We want a fair nomination process. All that is an expression that people are being bullied to support a particular candidate. But when it will get to a certain point, and they look at what they are engaging in, we might desire to work with you, but when you look at numbers, when you look at perception-wise, this approach you are using is not getting us anywhere, and people opt to play real politics, then you cannot discount the UDA conversation.
Okay.
You cannot discount it.
You just a very a point that I think I may want to weigh in on, that the 2022 elections is going to be fought on two fronts. The first front is the front of vision, and the second front is the front of track record. One thing about Musalia Mudavadi is that he has always, snapped when he has been expected to make certain critical decisions. For instance, when now he's crying about being bulldozed, we were alive in 2012 when Musalia Mudavadi was all over the place when saying that ODM had become dictatorial, that there was no internal democracy. And if you remember around that time, Fred Gumo calling a press conference and asking him why he was crying about internal democracy while he was a man like other people. I think where we have come as a country, we must be able to figure out what really matters. And because what matters is being able to build on the legacy of the president and being able to sustain that legacy by, for instance, there is the conversation of the infrastructural development.
Okay.
And then there is what needs to be done on that infrastructural development to be able to push the country forward. So I think the conversation about people being bulldozed by Musalia is mischievous. And why do I call it mischievous? Because we have someone like Malala attacking everyone else within the handshake team, but only reserving praise for William Ruto. And now that leaves us wondering that where are their loyalty? Are their loyalty, especially as ANC, with the handshake team or with the other side? Thank you.
Okay, so I guess that's a big question. Which way is the ANC party pulling within the One Kenya alliance? Perhaps let's take a short break, gentlemen. It's getting heated right now. So when we come back, we'll talk more about politics in terms of the realignments that are happening. Equally, the front page of the Standard going big with the battle for Kirinyaga governor's position between Waiguru and Ngirici. It turned ugly just yesterday in front of the deputy president. We'll definitely get to canvass that after the break. Stay with us.